What's up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. Glad you tuned in. California is getting some crazy weather right now. We're being hit. A lot of rain out there, a lot of wind. There's even a possibility um, of a tornado in parts of Los Angeles, parts of LA. Small chance, but it's still enough to kind of, you know, keep you on your toes, because California doesn't get a lot of tornadoes, but at the same time, it's not that unusual, because I remember the 1983 F2 tornado that hit Los Angeles, and that was pretty bad. I mean, it destroyed quite a few neighborhoods. So it's not that it's unusual, but at the same time, it's not that unusual because it can happen anywhere. As long as you have the right conditions, a possible tornado or severe thunderstorm or whatever could happen. And yeah, and parts of Los Angeles is under a tornado watch. Yep.
Through Monday, ultimately into Tuesday, as you're looking at more kind of rounds of moisture batting up against the East Coast. Flood alerts currently in place. This is really more of a problem tomorrow, as I showed you that little spin of moisture off the coast of California. That settles a little further south. All of these green areas, those are flood watches that are currently going to be in place. As we could see, a pretty decent amount of rain kind of come down across this area. It's typically the northern hills of Los Angeles. So if you're familiar, the coast right along sea level, you look back at the city and you see those rolling hills, those mountains, that squeezes out some of that moisture and start to see some of those yellows. That's perhaps 2 to 3 inches. Don't be surprised if a little bit more rain happens than that in some of those areas. And then that whole system ultimately drags a little further inland. You run over some of the mountains and we're seeing snow coming down in some of these areas, and maybe some cases a decent amount. Here's how we time it out. It begins.
Yeah, it's coming down out there, man. It's really, really raining hard. Especially up the closer you are to the mountains. See, I live in Altadena. Anybody that knows Altadena knows that is right below the mountain. It's kind of like right up near the mountains, right below it, down low in the valley, literally right next to the mountain. So when it does rain around the area where I'm at, it usually rains much harder than say like somewhere down in LA or Long Beach. And I know a little bit about meteorology, but if you're near the foothills, and this is not just Altadena, this is mainly any area that has a lot of foothills and mountains, it tends to rain much harder the closer you are to the mountains and the hills. I don't know if it's because of the way the mountains are that causes moisture to just build up more concentrated in that area, where it just lets off much more rain than the rest of the area. I don't know if that has something to do with it. Maybe somebody can educate me on that. But usually in the foothill areas or around the foothill areas, they usually get more rain than the rest of the area. So yeah, Altadena's getting hit hard, real hard.
Today, more of a storm across central California, northern California. And then by the time you get into Tuesday morning, you're seeing a lot of that moisture starting to pump in across Southern California. That's when LA gets on it. Ultimately, maybe a little bit in San Diego, but it does seem maybe a little bit more. Some of those northern hills, and then ultimately into the Cascade Mountains, or excuse me, those interior mountain ranges, and then across portions of Nevada as well. Thunderstorm risk, there is at least some of that tomorrow, maybe an isolated tornado. There's going to be energy here. I showed you that jet stream that's going to be running down across this area. That is enough to give this a little bit of energy. We could see some brief tornadoes, damaging winds also possible with this. Time it out one more time for your Monday.
Yeah, we do. We are getting the winds. That's for sure. Definitely getting that. But if you're in the LA area, Los Angeles area, there is a small possibility of you being hit by a tornado, and more than likely is a small one. See, we don't get the big, huge Oklahoma or Midwestern type tornadoes. Nah, when we get tornadoes, they're usually like an F0, F1, and like I said decades ago, and I've done a video on this. I think I've told you, but this is a historic tornado, 1983. Look it up. That was an F2. That's for Los Angeles. An F2 is pretty big. It's pretty huge. So, yeah, LA, you guys are under tornado watch once again, which is usual, but really is not that unusual.
Los Angeles really getting going there by 8 p.m. It's Tuesday that we begin to really worry about this area, though, Ian, as we watch all of those storms kind of settle in from central California and work their way south.
So let me know what y'all think. All my people out there in LA, be careful. I wouldn't even be out. I'd be in the house. I wouldn't even be out. I'd be at home, chilling, TV on or whatever, or reading a book or playing my favorite CD, music. So be safe out there, y'all. All right. Peace.